to Malvern Books on this lovely Sunday afternoon. I know many of us just came back from San Antonio and might be tired, so super appreciate y'all being here. We're very happy to have Jenny, Roger, and Kathryn with us today for a lovely afternoon of poetry. I'll introduce our first reader. Jenny Molberg is the author of Refusal and Marvels of the Invisible. She is the recipient of the 2019 through 2020 Creative Writing Fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts. She teaches creative writing at the University of Central Missouri, where she directs Pleiades Press and edits Pleiades magazine. Please welcome Jenny.
Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone for coming. I'm really excited to be here in Austin, where I used to live, and back in Texas, my home state. Were people in San Antonio?
Mm-hmm. I was.
I was. Thank you for doing this. I'm sure we're all kind of tired, but so I'm going to read you a few poems from my new collection, Refusal. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So one of the things that this book does is sort of like engages in a dialogue about like patriarchal oppression, and it does so through a series of epistolary poems, so letters, and they're all dedicated to my friends, several of whom are here right now. So I'm going to start, and also there are epistles from hospitals for things that you can't go to the hospital for, so like invisible ailments, so harassment, text messaging. So I'm going to start with Epistle from the Hospital for Cheaters, and this is dedicated to Caitlin. What to do with all this flame, but douse it with paper cups of red and yellow pills? What to do with the sun that licks its rose blaze across the tiled corners of this ward, with all these hours, with the burden of relief we're allowed to feel? We still breathe. We still walk the halls in our spoiled bodies. Once we made a promise in that world of papers and rings and aisles that meant cold prison cell, that meant debt and paranoia and many small failings that took root as we stood in front of judges and priests, our teeth crawling with till death. Gold light razors the plastic blinds. Don't we look so flawed, so lovely? Alone forever doesn't mean shit anymore. Tell me I didn't blow up my life for this means you get dark chocolate and a long hug. The food here is delicious and we're all going to be fine. Here, no one cuts your face out of all the photos. There are no photos. We won't remember this place. Here, we redefine slut as person who survived. When we really hurt, they give us neon casts for all the broken promises. We sign them like yearbooks. The IVs drip wine. In the evenings, we play hearts and watch the sun set on the green and think, doesn't that look like an egg descending a blue tube of sky? One of us holds that sun on her tongue a while. She wants a child, but not her husband's child. Never her husband's child. So you know when you're like in a very high stakes emotional text messaging conversation, because that's a thing that we do now, and you're waiting for the person to write you back and you see the ellipses and it's like, and then they disappear. So that's in the poem, so I'll just read it as ellipses. Epistle from the Hospital for Text Messaging. I have made of myself a rabbit. I can no longer speak. Language is only the click, click, click of my heart ticking faster now. I stepped out of my dress. I auto-filled myself. I slipped the gray skins over my head. I know you love to watch the animal of me, my fast-pounding brain. How I enter the garden to pluck berries with my teeth, then the ellipses of my leaving. I know you love to watch the end of me. I vanished beyond the field whose borders I built with your 1,000 barbed unsaids. I vanished into the sky. I vanished into the moon, this lemon slice of dead volcano. Here I wait, my fingerless ears poised as satellites, projecting my rabbit-shaped silence on space's blank walls. Something I don't understand about myself makes people want to hurt me. The night I left. I said goodbye to the boys' toyless rooms, and the stuffed animals blinked their plastic eyes, folded their Muppet arms. The towel, shaped like a monkey, bowed its flimsy head, the ghost of a child still dampening its matted chest. I'm sorry, I said to the towel. I'm sorry, I said to the monster their mother had knit in blue yarn. I'm so sorry, I said to the cat, who sounded his soundless mew, leapt from the bed, and skulked out of the room. I turned off the lights. Years passed. Then I was this woman saying, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, until it meant nothing, and someone else came to carry me to bed. So over by my books, I put some Stranger Things swag, which seems kind of weird. The reason is because there's a Demogorgon. Are you guys like D&D Stranger Things fans? I hope. Okay, so there's a Demogorgon in the book, and there's also an Ophelia character in the book, sort of like a modern day reinvented Ophelia, who the idea came from. I was reading this old male critic who was writing about Hamlet, and he said, without Hamlet, Ophelia has no story. And I thought, like, what a crock. I just saw the kids in here. And so what I did was I transcribed all of her lines by themselves, and I found that Ophelia's story is a story about gaslighting. And so she sort of came alive as this character in the book, and she battles the Demogorgon. And so to get to know the Demogorgon, I'm going to read you this one. So you're all probably familiar with this sort of character or person, I should say, archetype in the literary world. This is Portrait of Demogorgon as Poet. The Prince of Demons attends a writers' conference. He travels all the way from the 88th abyss to some woods in America. The Prince of Demons doesn't forget his weed and his condoms, which are only for show. He plans to impregnate everyone. He is workshopping his poem about Ferguson, which he heard about on human TV. The Prince of Demons' perspective on this matter is very important, because hate makes him blush in a good way. Anyway, his poem has a megaphone, so he hears nothing but his own voice. His poem makes the workshop feel afraid. To avoid a violent flaying, not critiquing the Prince of Demons' poems is advised. In his one mind, the Prince of Demons wants so badly to be good, or at least light. But a softy monster never got anywhere, as his father the king used to say. At the craft lecture, the Prince of Demons doodles little drawings of light bulbs and naked women. He sits mostly alone at dinner, shaking his head, chuckling to himself, face unfurling like a corpse flower, exposing his many sharp teeth. Fools, he thinks, all of them fools. Don't they know Voltaire named him creator of earth, that Milton dreaded him, that he is Melville's white whale, that his very name is taboo? He cries like a man-goat and closes his face as a fist. There, demon prince. It's not your fault. It is we who opened the portal, who brought you here in the first place. It's because we worshipped you that you grew so strong. Just two more poems. Thank you again for coming. Ophelia meets Demogorgon. Dressed still dripping, Ophelia rocks in a white wood chair at the roadside diner, counting all her vengeances. There's fennel for you and columbines, a down, she chuckles. She enjoys a good gin cocktail, takes the stones from her pockets, arranges them in a star at her feet. She's alone. It's delicious. In the trees, she hears some rustling and a face like a flower emerges, a face she's never seen before, something for her collection, she thinks. This reptilian bloom face, attached to a live, man-like body, saunters toward her as an insect on its wiry legs. She is not afraid, woods gaze in a gimlet haze, and the worst, she thinks, is behind her. The petals of his face fold back, and there is something wondrous in all those shining teeth, in all those ligaments and ribs. A large black lightning cloud descends over the woods, and Demogorgon kneels before her, picks up a stone, and swallows it whole. This deference, this act resembling knightly duty, excites her. Loving Ophelia is. Loving Ophelia is loving a ghost. And loving a ghost is loving yourself. And loving yourself is a sudden sorrow. And a sudden sorrow is the place where the river pools. And the place where the river pools is not suicide. And not suicide is confronting the unknown. And confronting the unknown is the active condition of womanhood. And the active condition of womanhood is the beauteous nature of Denmark. And the beauteous nature of Denmark is love sickness. And love sickness is obsession with a version of yourself. An obsession with a version of yourself is egomania. And egomania is a room of mirrors. And a room of mirrors is love and hate simultaneously. And love and hate simultaneously is the trick of abuse. And the trick of abuse is a vexation of the mind. And a vexation of the mind is the feeble dawn of gaslight and tea. And the feeble dawn of gaslight and tea is an overbearing husband. And an overbearing husband is a soliloquy of cliches. And a soliloquy of cliches is the misery of scholars. And the misery of scholars is an old friend's skull. And an old friend's skull is a sudden sorrow. And a sudden sorrow is holding one's breath. And holding one's breath is swimming away. And swimming away is the other shore on which Ophelia has woken.